Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mary if you're new here, and today we are going to be starting off my Summerween reading vlog. Today is July 7th, which is the first day of Summerween, which is a readathon hosted by Gabby Reads and oliviareadsalatte, and it is basically all about reading horror, thriller, Halloween-y type books for a week in the summer. So I want to first go through all the prompts and create basically a TBR for the week, and then we'll go through and hopefully read all of these books. The first prompt is read a book in the dark or at night. So this one, there's not really like a prompt for a specific type of book, but the one that I chose for this, which I'm sure I'll actually just be reading most of these books in the dark because I do a lot of my reading at night, but I want to read The Bandit Queens. So I brought this book up several times in many different videos this year, and this is basically, it is like more of a mystery thriller, I believe. This book is about this woman who, her husband goes missing, but everyone in her village or town believes that she murdered him and got away with it. And then one day she finds that several women come up to her asking her to help them kill their husbands. So that's the basic premise that I understand of this book. I've only really seen 4 or 5 star reviews for this, so I'm very excited to get into it, and this is the perfect week for me to have the excuse. The next prompt is read a thriller, and this book you would have actually seen in my last video where my friends chose my July TBR, and it is Yellowface. So I believe this does have thriller aspects to it. Some people say it's a thriller, but I know it's more than just that, but I'm going to count it for this prompt. What I know about this book, it's about 2 sisters, and one of the sisters dies and the other one basically, I believe they're both authors, but the one that survives or is alive steals her dead sister's work and publishes it as if she is the author. I'm intrigued. This is actually also going to be my first R.F. Kuang. Now I do own Babbel and I just bought the Poppy War, but I haven't read them yet. And so I'm not sure if this is a good idea for this to be my first R.F. Kuang, but we'll see. The third prompt is read a book that is set in the fall, and I chose The Troop by Nick Cutter. So this one has been on my radar and TBR for a while. I don't know anything about this book other than the fact that I know it is horribly disgusting, and that's it. I think this is going to be the most Halloween-y gross book on this list. So the fourth prompt is read a book that has either orange or black on the cover. I chose The People in the Trees by Hana Yanagihara. This one was also chosen by one of my best friends in my last video for my July TBR. Now I quickly looked at this on Goodreads, and technically I don't think it is a thriller or a mystery or anything like that, but all the reviews saying it's like haunting or thrilling, so I'm just gonna count it. And again, a book that I do not know many things about, but my friend Monsi, who was in my prior video, borrowed this from me and read it before I read it, so she told me great things about it, and I loved A Little Life by this author. I hope this is not going to be as traumatic as A Little Life, but I don't think it is. So we'll see. I'm also really looking forward to reading this, and I think this cover is very fitting for Summerween, as well as me going to a cabin in the middle of the woods. And the last prompt is to read a manga, graphic novel, or a novella. So I'm kind of in between 2. One is a manga and one is just a very short book, but the one that I chose for a manga is Dissolving Classroom by Junji Ito. So I got this for my boyfriend a couple months ago, and honestly I chose this one by Junji Ito just because it is the shortest collection or book that we have of his. The other ones I have are kind of collections of different stories, and I think this is just one. So again, not something that I really know much about. I haven't read really anything by Junji Ito, so I am looking forward to reading this. And again, he is known as like the best horror manga author out there, so it is only fitting that I read it during Summerween. And then the last contender that I do want to read because it is short and it is also middle grade, and it always reminds me of The Fall Time is a series of unfortunate events. The first book, which is The Bad Beginning. I just want to read it. So if I have the time, I will pick it up. It is so short. I'm sure I could read this within like less than an hour. But it is not technically, I don't think it's set in fall, and I don't think it's technically a thriller or anything like that, but it is something that I do want to read and I think would be a fun addition and a breakup between all these different books. So we'll see. We will keep this on the side, but for sure we are going to attempt to read all these books. I think it's a great selection. It has a lot of variety of different topics. I shouldn't get bored, but it will be a challenge to read these in a week. Typically, I read maybe 2 books, almost 3 books a week. What should we start with? Maybe we'll start with Yellowface. I don't know, it's kind of calling to me. I'm going to pick this up now, start reading, and I will come back here when I have thoughts. Pause. I need to get my annotation tabs. Tabs and a pencil secured. I thought they were sisters, but they're not. I think the flap made me question that because it says June Hayward and Athena Liu were supposed to be twin rising stars. Ooh, so it's even worse than I thought it was. That's not great. Page 2. I already got thoughts. Good morning. I've got my ghost mug here, but my coffee is a bit cold now. So the other ghosts aren't colorful. I pulled out this mug for Summerween to kind of feel more in the spirit, I guess you could say. I've got sugar here with me. So it's Monday morning. I haven't updated you guys this weekend because honestly it was not a great weekend to have Summerween happen because I was incredibly busy. But I was able to finish Yellowface last night. I tabbed quite a bit. It's interesting because in the beginning I tabbed a lot, and then near the end there wasn't much that I actually wanted to annotate or like tab to, you know, reference later on. So that was interesting. I'm still putting my thoughts together because I finished this literally right before I fell asleep and I went to bed. So I didn't have much time to process it. Don't know what I'm going to give this as a rating. I'm debating between maybe a 3.5 to 4. I'm not sure yet. I don't think it's a 5-star read. So this is my first R.F. Kuang. I really enjoyed the writing. I think I'm going to enjoy the rest of her books a lot. It did kind of feel a bit like an author who has experienced a lot of the things that June and Athena talked about that was negative about the publishing industry. And I have heard that R.F. Kuang puts a lot of her own experiences in her characters. So that was interesting to see. But June is a very insufferable narrator and main character. She's not reliable at all. She at a lot of times really frustrates you. I don't even know the amount of times that I was underlining things and writing like yikes or wow or some type of commentary about how ridiculous she sounds. I do sometimes like an unreliable narrator, but she was also very insufferable. So I don't know how I feel about her. Leaning towards the second half of the book, I'm not going to try to say anything that's very spoilery, but she is very different, I think, than the first half of the book, and not in a good way. The commentary on the publishing industry was very fascinating to see because you don't really get many people talking about the bad of the industry. I mean, you get some, but as like an overall lens, not like anything specific or detailed about like the process of getting published and all of that thing. So that was interesting to see, even though it was primarily all negative. But what I did not really like about it, and I think that I don't like this in general in any book, is any commentary that is kind of recent about technology or the space online. Like there's talk about Twitter and Goodreads and reviewers online and things like that, and like there was parts where you would see like tweets, and it's just, I didn't really enjoy that. I think it doesn't age well, so, but at the current moment you can relate to it. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that in any book, so I did not like that in this book as well, even though it did add a lot to the story, and it was a lot of why June kind of went crazy. The ending I did enjoy. I wouldn't say it's my favorite ending or something that will stay with me, but I think it is very fitting for the story. It was kind of ambiguous, kind of, you don't really know what's gonna happen next. So yeah, overall pretty good. The last half too was more of the thriller part. I think the rest of it was very fiction, just general fiction, but the last half kind of felt like it just transitioned to a thriller novel, so that was kind of confusing, but I did like it. But it didn't last long, so yeah, I'm gonna stay with it for a while and then let you know what my rating is at the end of Summerween. But yeah, first book done. And so now it's Monday, so I have until Thursday, I believe it's the 13th is the last day. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have 4 days and I have 4 books. I'm not gonna be able to finish all these books. So let's see. Whoa! Sorry, sugar. I have Dissolving Classroom, which is the manga, so I think I will definitely be able to finish this. I just don't want to start it today. Maybe I'll read it later. Then we've got, I don't know what to do. I feel like I need to read The Troop because it is like my only real horror of this kind of collection. So maybe I can start with The Troop today. My boyfriend and I are going to a remote cabin for a night on Wednesday to Thursday. So I'm trying to figure out what is best to read there, but I don't know if I really want to read a horror there because I'm not trying to be terrified of staying there. And then I have The People in the Trees and The Bandit Queens. So I think this one will be more suited for the cabin. And then I don't know if I'm going to get to The Bandit Queens. We'll see. So I guess that leaves me with starting Troop. So I'm going to start The Troop today. Hopefully we can get most of it done today. I haven't read a horror in God knows how long. How long is this book? 358 pages. And I think this was 320-ish pages. So let's hope I read this faster. I will let you guys know once I have a update for The Troop. Hopefully more updates than I did Yellowface, because I read that kind of without telling you guys how I'm feeling. Work. I am officially out of the office for the rest of the week, which I am very excited about. There's about to be a rainstorm outside, so it's very, very dark and cloudy, so sorry about the lighting, but I wanted to give a little bit of a reading update for The Troop. I'm a little bit more than halfway through. This book is really disgusting. The descriptions are so intricate and nasty. The amount of times I wrote nope, no, no thank you, disgusting, psychotic is crazy. I think that's literally what all these tabs are, basically the grossest scenes. I had to skip a few pages here and there because, trigger warning, there is some animal abuse in here and I was not about it. I really don't know how I feel about this book because it is so gross and it's literally making me physically sick. I don't know how I feel about these characters. I don't really care for them. Like, I don't really care about what ends up happening to them. I don't like any of them. I think this is leaning towards like a 3-star read for me, but we'll see. We still have a little over 100 pages left. And I'm going to try to finish this tonight because I really do not want to be reading this while I am in a remote cabin in the middle of the forest on a lakefront property. Nope, not doing that. I finished it. I don't want to ever read this again. I did not like this book. Honestly, I think... Are you hiding behind me? I think if you have the stomach for really gross and disturbing descriptions of just like bodily fluids and nasty like insects and animals and viruses type situation, you'll be fine with this. You probably would like this. But I just don't have the stomach for that kind of thing. I don't want to have the stomach for that kind of thing. Now, I'm someone who is fascinated with like true crime, is fascinated with things like that. But this is like on another level kind of gross and disturbing. I did not find much enjoyment out of it. I didn't really like any of the characters. I mean, near the end, I did feel bad for a couple of the characters, and you kind of are directed to feel a certain way. But for the majority of the book, like, I really didn't care at all about these characters. I just wanted to finish this book and be over with it. So right now I'm standing at maybe like a 2.5 stars, kind of smack dab in the middle, because I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad book. It's not written poorly. I think it's written really well. I just did not care for the characters, the character development, the story itself, and it was just not my type of book. So I don't want to say it's like a 1 star. I mean, in my mind it might be a 1 star, but overall as a book and as a concept, I think it's done well. It's just not my cup of tea. So I'm very happy to be done with this book, like tremendously happy. I do not want to look at it. I don't even want to own it anymore, and I'm kind of upset that I annotated it because I honestly do not want this book. I will see if my boyfriend wants to keep it because I think he might enjoy it more than I do because he just has the stomach for these kinds of things and I do not. 2 out of 5 done. I probably will get maybe 1 to 2 more read. So for now, this is a 4 star and this 2.5. So we'll see what's next. Maybe a 3, maybe a 5. Hopefully not a 1. back from the cabin, so it was such a quick trip. I barely even vlogged there, but yesterday was such a beautiful day. During the night, I knew there was going to be a storm, but wowie wow, it was a loud and windy storm. So I did not have a good sleep last night, and then this morning it was just raining all morning, so we quickly had breakfast, had some coffee, packed up and left even before checkout time, so we left around 10. Came home, we got all the unpacking done. I'm doing all the laundry now. Today's my boyfriend's birthday, so it's been a fun day, but right now he has gone to the gym, so I am making some tea, making some of this Leaves Detox. This Jas, or Nurse with Jas, makes the best teas ever. Yesterday I started The People in the Trees, and I read, how many pages? 34? Not even, I don't think so. Actually, yeah, I think it was 34. So not much. I really don't have any thoughts. It is hard to get back into Hanya Yanagihara's writing because it is very lyrical, lots of big words. So it is kind of like starting a classic when you haven't read a classic in a long time, except these aren't classics as of yet, but so far okay. And because today, I want to even say today is the last day of Summerween, I want to end off with the bang. So we are going to sit down, have our tea, read some Dissolving Classroom, and then, guys, I need to pick up a damn romance. I generally, while I'm reading anything, I always have a romance on the side. And it's been a week of reading thriller, fiction, horror, gore. Honestly, I think the troop really messed up with my head because I'm like, all I'm thinking about are these nasty worms infiltrating my system. I need something nice and flowery and happy. So I think after Dissolving Classroom, I'm not going to be picking up The People in the Trees tonight. I am going to be picking, I think, Love Theoretically. I bought Ali Hazelwood's newest novel last week, and I need something for my romantic heart to beat a little bit faster, because right now it is deprived. There's like almost no beat. Reading update, I am on the second, I guess, short story of this collection. So I read Dissolving Classroom and Dissolving Beauty. I like Dissolving Beauty more. Dissolving Classroom was pretty good. It was pretty like icky and scary, but nothing, I don't know, a good explanation into who these characters are and why they are the way that they are. But I think Dissolving Beauty was really good, and also something that is a great exploration on beauty in relationships. So moving on to Dissolving Apartment. And these, I mean, it is very gross. Junji Ito's art is not for the faint of heart, and that is me. I do not like this kind of stuff, but I can appreciate the vision, that's for sure. done. We have officially finished the last day of Summerween, my first official Summerween. It was a very spooky week. I won't say I hated it, but I wouldn't also say I loved it. I think it was definitely a mix. We ended up reading 3 out of the 5 books that I wanted to read for this week, so we can quickly go through all of them. I guess first off, we'll go through the 2 that I did not get to this week. So we've got The People in the Trees by Hanya Yanagihara. So this one I started yesterday, just was not able to finish it. I'm only about 30-ish pages in. So far it's okay. And then we also were not able to finish The Bandit Queens. I'm really sad about this one, but I know I will eventually get to it this year. The first book that I finished was Yellowface. I went pretty in depth with this book, I have to say. Earlier I gave it a 4 stars. I still think it is a pretty solid 4-star read. Yeah, I don't think I would have picked it up as soon as I did if it were not for Summerween and my best friend picking this as the book I need to read in July. The next book I read was The Troop by Nick Cutter. Did not like this book. I think I'm gonna give it a 2 stars. Honestly, this was just way too much gore for me, too much human gore. It also had to do with kids. There was animal abuse in it. Just wasn't my favorite. Too many different things that I am not a fan of in one book. It was written very well, but I don't think I'm going to be picking up anything by Nick Cutter. I think if you are into these kind of books or in this kind of genre, you will love this book. It just wasn't for me, and that is what it is. Then lastly, I just finished Dissolving Classroom. So this is my first Junji Ito, so that is fun. After you read the first story and then you get to the second story and you kind of see the pattern between the 2 stories, then by the 5th story it's kind of repetitive and not as shocking or unexpected. You kind of just expect the ending to be similar to the stories prior. I have to say the art was very gory, to say the least, and I am not someone that's into this kind of stuff. I hate like horror and gore and all these things. I find it fascinating, but blah. So I think I'm going to give this a 3 stars. My favorite stories were Dissolving Beauty and Chizumi in Love, and Interview with the Devil was good. It was a good like ending. I'm happy that this was my first Junji Ito. It wasn't too long and too daunting. I don't know how much I would be able to read of just horror manga back to back. So yeah, glad I read it, and it was definitely on brand for Summerween. Let me know if you guys participated in Summerween, what you read, if you've read these books, what you thought about them, all the thoughts. Let's discuss down below, and I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. So I hope you guys had a great Summerween and a great week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Happy reading. Bye.